down the hallway.
Just had the radio blaring. I couldn't imagine it turned on so loud. How could I hear anything else with that?
That was clearly the murderer's intent. Or murderess.
How can I hear anything else?
You might have known. If the killer has slipped out the hall that way, he may have heard you coming from the kitchen and slipped up the back stairs or into the dining room.
I heard a door open and creak and then shut just as I came out of the kitchen.
Which door?
I don't know.
Think, Mrs. Ralston. Try and think. Upstairs, downstairs, close at hand, right,
I
left.
don't know, I tell you.
Can't you stop bullying her? Can't you see she's all in?
We're investigating a murder case, Mr. Ralston. Up to now, nobody's taken this thing seriously. Mrs. Boyle is dead. Well, if we don't get to the bottom of this thing quickly, mind, there's going to be another death.
Another? Here? But why?
Because there were 3 blind mice, Mr. Ralston.
Just for each of them.
Yes. There was also only 2 addresses in the notebook we found. Now, at 24 Culver Street, there was only 1 possible victim, and now she's dead. But here at Montreux Manor, there is a wider field.
It's nonsense. It's coincidence enough that there be one connection to the Longridge Fall case, and let alone 2.
Given certain circumstances, Miss Casewell, it wouldn't be so much of a coincidence. Think it out. Now I'd like to get down quite clearly where you all were at the time Mrs. Boyle was killed. I've already got Mrs. Ralston's statement. You were in the kitchen. You came out of the kitchen, through the hall, down through the swing door, into here. The lights were switched off, and the radio was blaring. And then you switched the light on, saw Mrs. Boyle, and screamed.
As I screamed, and at last people.
Yes, as you say, people came. A lot of people from different directions, all arriving more or less at once. Now then, when I looked out that window to trace the wires of the front door, you, Mr. Ralston, went up to your room and tested the extension telephone there. Where were you when Mrs. Ralston screamed?
Yes, I went upstairs and I leaned out the bedroom window to see if there was any sign of the wire being cut there, but there wasn't. I was still up in my room when I heard my wife scream, and I came down as fast as I could.
Those simple actions took you a rather long time, didn't they, Mr. Ralston?
I don't think so.
I should say that you rather took your time with them.
I was thinking about something.
Very well. Mr. Wren, I would like to have your account of where you were.
Yes. I was in the kitchen, helping Mrs. Ralston with the cooking. I adore cooking, you see. And then I went upstairs to my room.
Why?
Very natural thing, don't you think, for one to go to one's room?
You went to your room because you wanted to be alone.
I went to my room to brush my hair and tidy up.
Because you wanted to brush your hair.
Anyways, that's where I was.
And you heard Mrs. Ralston scream.
Yes, I
And you came down.
did. Yes.
Curious that you, Mr. Ralston, didn't meet on the stairs.
I came by the back stairs.
Did you go to your room by the back stairs, or did you come through here?
I went to my room to the back stairs.
Let's see. Mr. Parravicini.
I haven't told you, Inspector. I was over there in the drawing room, playing the piano with 1 finger, so.
I'm not an inspector, I'm a sergeant, Mr. Parravicini.
You were playing 3 blind mice.
Yes, I was. It's a very memorable little tune. It is, how shall I say, a haunting little tune. Don't you all agree?
I think it's horrible.
And yet it runs in people's heads. Someone was whistling it too.
Whistling it? Where?
I'm not really sure. Perhaps in the front hall, on the stairs, maybe even upstairs in the bed.
Who was whistling 3 blind mice? Are you making this up, Mr. Parravicini?
Oh, no, Inspector. I beg your pardon, Sergeant. I would not do such a thing.
Well, go on. You said you were playing piano.
With 1 finger, so. And then all of a sudden I hear the radio. It was playing very loud. Someone was shouting. It offended my ears. And then all of a sudden I hear Mrs. Ralston scream. And then I come out here.
Mr. Ralston upstairs. Mr. Wren upstairs. Mr. Parvati in the drawing room. Miss Casewell,
I was writing letters in the library.
could you hear what was going on in here?
No, I couldn't hear anything until Mrs. Ralston screamed.
And what did you do then?
I came in here.
At once?
I think so.
You said you were writing letters when you heard Mrs. Ralston scream,
Yes.
and came down hurriedly, mind, to go see what was the matter.
Yes.
And yet, there doesn't seem to be an unfinished letter on the writing desk in the library.
I brought it with me.
Dearest Jessie, is this a friend of yours or a relation?
None of your business.
Perhaps not. You know this, Casewell. If I was writing letters and heard someone screaming blue murder, I don't think I'd take the time to fold my unfinished letter and place it in my handbag before going to see what was the matter.
You wouldn't. How interesting.
Now then, Major Metcalf, you said you were in the cellars. Why?
Looking around, just looking around. I looked into that cover place by the stairs. A lot of old junk and sports tackle. And then I went down to the cellars. Yeah, nice cellars you got here.
Glad you like them.
Not at all. Crypt of an old monastery, I should say. Probably what they call the place Monk's Well.
We're not engaged in antiquarian research, Major Metcalf. We're investigating a murder. Mrs. Ralston has told us that she heard his door shut with a faint creak. That particular door shuts with a faint creak. It could be, you know, that the murderer heard Mrs. Ralston coming from the kitchen and pulled the door to after him after entering the cupboard.
A lot of things could be.
But look here, Sergeant. Aren't you wasting our time? There's one person...
Mr. Ralston, I'm in charge of this investigation.
Oh, very well, but...
Mr. Ralston! Thank you. Now, we've got to establish opportunity, you know, as well as motive. And let me tell you this. All of you had opportunities. There are two staircases. One that you can go up by and one that you can go down. There is also a secret door that goes down to the cupboard, and down through the cupboard into the cellars. And there is also a flight of steps that goes up through a trapdoor to the foot of the stairs over there. The vital fact was that all of you were alone at the time the murder was committed.
But you speak as though we were all under suspicion.
In the murder case, as such as this, everyone is under suspicion.
But you know perfectly well who killed that woman in Culver Street.
Who do you suggest?
It was the youngest of the three children. You said so yourself. A mentally abnormal, crazy, who's now 22, 23 years of age. Well, you ask me, there's only one person here who fits the bill.
It is not true. It's not true at all. You're framing me. You're trying to frame me for murder. Well, I'm not stand for it. This is persecution. It's persecution.
Steady, lad, steady.
Christopher, it's all right. Tell him it's all right.
We don't frame people.
Tell him you're not going to arrest him.
I'm not going to arrest anyone.
Damn straight.
To do that, I've got to have evidence. I haven't got any evidence yet.
He's the only one here who fits the bill.
Wait, Jack.
Even as if a precaution, he ought to be arrested for the protection of the rest of us.
Sergeant, can I speak to you alone for a minute?
Certainly, Mrs. Ralston. Will the rest of you go into the drawing room, please?
I'm staying.
Giles, you too.
No, Molly. Don't know what's come over you.
Giles,
But
please.
What is it you want to say to me, Mrs. Ralston?
You think the murderer must be one of the three children, but you don't know that, do you?
We actually don't know a thing. All we've got so far is the woman who participated in ill-treating and starving those children with her husband has been killed. And that the only magistrate who was responsible for placing those children there has been killed. The telephone wire that connects me to police headquarters has been cut.
But you don't know that. It could have very well been the snow.
Yes, Mrs. Wilson, I do know that. I traced the telephone wire to the front door. It has been deliberately cut.
I see.
Please sit down, Mrs. Wilson.
But in all honesty, you don't know.
I'm going by probability. All points one way. Challenge mentality. Mental instability. Desertion from the army. And the psychiatrist's report.
I know, and therefore all seems to point to Christopher. But I don't believe it was Christopher. Couldn't there be other possibilities?
Such as
Well, hadn't those children any relations at all?
the mother was a drug. She died soon after the children were taken away from her. That's right.
Well, what about their father?
He was an army sergeant serving abroad. If he was still alive by now, he should be discharged.
But you don't know where he is.
We actually don't have any idea where he is. To trace him may take some time, you know, but I can assure you, Mrs. Ralston, that the police take every eventuality into it.
But you don't know where he is. And if the children were unstable, the father could have very well been unstable as well.
Yes, that is a possibility.
And if he was a prisoner with the Japs, perhaps, and came home to find his wife dead, and his children had gone through some horrible experience, he might go off his head a bit and want revenge.
That's only surmise.
But it's a possibility.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Ralston, it is a possibility.
So, murderer may not only be middle-aged, but old as well.
Yes.
Major Metcalf looked frighteningly upset when I said the police had run up. He really did. I saw his face.
Major Metcalf.
Middle-aged, a soldier. I know he's really nice and all, and might not show.
No, often it doesn't show at all.
So there's not only Christopher who's a suspect, there's Major Metcalf as well.
Any other suggestions?
Paravicini did also quite upset.
Mr. Paravicini.
I know he's all foreign and all, but he might be as old as he seems. And he seems to put makeup on his face. His case will have noticed it too. So Paravicini as well.
You're very anxious that it shouldn't be young Mr. Wren then.
He just seems so innocent, and he's so unhappy.
Let me tell you this, Mrs. Ralston. I've had all possibilities in mind ever since the beginning. Three suspects in particular. The eldest child, the father, and someone else. Yes, the sister, that's who it is.
The sister?
It could have been a woman who killed Mrs. Lyon. Yes, a woman, with the muffler pulled well up, the felt hat pulled well down, and the killer whispered, remember?
So Miss Casewell, maybe?
She seems a bit old apart. Why, there's yourself, for instance.
Me?
Yes, it could have been you. You're about the right age. No. Anything that you tell me will not be able to make sure that it's true or not. Yes, and there's also your husband.
Giles, don't be ridiculous.
He and Mr. Wren are much of an age, you know. Say, Giles is older in his years. He looks it, as I think. And Mr. Wren looks younger than his years. Actual age is very hard to tell, you know. How long have you known Giles Ralston before you married him?
Well, we've been married just a year, but
And where did you meet?
at a party in London.
Did you meet his people?
He hasn't any people, they're all dead.
They're all dead.
You make it sound all wrong. Look, his father was a barrister, and his mother died when he was a baby.
You're only telling me things he told you.
Yes,
But
but
you don't know them of your own knowledge.
I cannot believe you're suggesting these
You'd
things.
be surprised, Mrs. Ralston, how many cases like yours we get. Especially since the war. Fellow shows up and says he's been in the army. Parents dead and no relations. The young people nowadays just settle their own affairs and girl just marries who she wants. Usually it's a year or two before she finds out that he's an absconding bank clerk, or an army deserter, or something equally undesirable. How many years have you known Giles Ralston? How long did you know Giles Ralston before you met him?
Just 3 weeks. But
And you don't know anything about him?
that's not true. I know everything there is to know about Giles. He's Giles. And look, he wasn't even in London yesterday when the murder took place.
Where was he? Here?
He was in the countryside getting some chicken netting.
Bring it back with him.
No, it was the wrong kind.
Just 13 miles from London, you know. Oh, look, you got an ABC. Just 30 minutes by train.
I tell you, Giles wasn't in London.
Just a minute, Mrs. Ralston. This your husband's coat?
Yes.
Evening News, yesterday's, sold on the street of London at 3:30 p.m.
I don't believe it.
Don't you? Don't you?
Molly, where is she?
Who?
Sergeant, where'd she go?
She went out that way.
I have to leave. Is there any way I can escape or anywhere that I can hide in the house
Hide, but why?
from her? They're all so dreadfully against me, particularly your husband.
Oh, don't worry about him. Christopher, you can't go running away your whole life.
Sure I can.
You cannot. It is quite true. Your real name's not really Christopher, is it?
No. No, it's not.
And you're not really training to be an architect?
No, not really.
Then why
Did I say my name was Christopher Wren? It amused me, I suppose. When I was in school, my friends used to call me Christopher Robin, because I was always in the distant world or something. Robin, Wren, association of ideas. I hated school.
Then what is your real name?
We shouldn't get into that. Anyways, when I turned 18, I joined the army, and then I shortly quit because it was also gruesome. Yes, I'm exactly like the unknown murderer. Everything would have been right if my mother would have... My mother,
Yes, your mother.
if she wouldn't have died, she could have cared for me and looked after me. And
Christopher, you can't go being looked at after your whole life. You've got to bear the things that come into your life and go on just as usual.
oh, so you have.
Yes.
Oh. Was it terribly awful? Something to do with Giles?
No, it's long before I met Giles.
You must have been very young then. Perhaps even a child.
Maybe that's why you're so awful. I just try to forget.
So you're a runaway too.
Yes, perhaps in a way I am. You know, Mr. Wren, you do seem to have a lot in common, even though we haven't met before.
It is a bit odd, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of sympathy between us.
Anyways, you think I ought to stick it out?
Well, frankly, what else can you do?
Well, I could always pinch the sergeant's skis. I'm very good at skiing, you see.
That would be frightfully stupid. It'd be like admitting you're guilty.
Sergeant Trotter thinks I'm guilty.
Don't worry what the sergeant thinks. I don't know. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her.
Who?
The sergeant. She puts things into your head that can't possibly be true. Look, I won't believe it. I can't believe it.
What are you talking about, Logan? I'm sorry.
I gotta get out of my
Out with it!
You see that?
Yes.
What is it? Yesterday's evening paper from London? It was in Giles' overcoat pocket. But he didn't go to London.
Well, if he was here all day...
But he wasn't. He went to the countryside to get some chicken netty, but he couldn't find any.
Well, then maybe he did go to London.
So why should he tell me? Why lie to me?
Maybe the news of the murder made him trepidatious.
But he
about
didn't know about the murder. Or did he? Did he?
Well, you certainly don't think that Giles... The sergeant doesn't think that Giles...
Look, I don't know what the sergeant thinks. you love could very well be strangers. That's what happens in nightmares. You're surrounded by friends and you suddenly look at their faces and they're not your friends anymore. They're just pretending. You know, perhaps everyone's a stranger, perhaps everyone's pretending.
Everything will be all right. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. Frankly, my dear, this is rock bottom. And as we slowly ascend the cliffs of insanity, we will make it to freedom in the land of justice.
Seem to be interrupting something.
No, we were just talking. But I must go to the kitchen now and get things prepared for the night.
I'll give you a hand.
No, you won't.
Giles!
You keep out of the kitchen and you keep away from my wife.
I don't see why you...
I'm not going to let my wife be your next victim, Christopher.
So that's what you think of me.
I've made that pretty clear already, haven't I?
I suppose you have.
I don't see who else fits the bill around here.
Oh, you don't see? Are you blind, or do you only pretend to be, amongst other things?
I don't know what you mean.
I'm not the only one here who fits the bill.
Okay, yeah, because everybody else totally fits the bill.
Completely.
Christopher, please.
I'm not leaving. I'm looking after your wife's safety.
No, I look after my wife's safety.
Well, I shall not be very far away.
Molly, I don't know what's come over you. Perfectly prepared to shut yourself in a room with that homicidal maniac.
He isn't.
You just sort of look at him to see he's balmy.
He isn't. He isn't dangerous. I'd know if he was dangerous. Besides, I can look after myself.
That's what Mrs. Boyle said.
Oh, Giles, don't.
What is it between you and that wretched boy?
Between us, I feel sorry for him, that's all.
Oh, okay. Probably known him a long time. Probably suggested that he come here, and you guys pretend to meet for the first time. All cooked up between you, was it?
How dare you say these things to me? You're being ridiculous.
You know, I read in the paper once that these homicidal cases can attract women. Looks as though that were true. How long has this been going on?
I never set eyes on Christopher until he arrived yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure. And perhaps you haven't also been going up to London to meet him on the sly.
You know very well I haven't been up to London for weeks.
You haven't been up to London for weeks, is that so? What's this? This is your glove that you were wearing yesterday. Did you see what's inside of it? London bus ticket. Dated for yesterday. You dropped it, and I picked it up when I was talking to Sergeant Trotter. That, yes. Yes, you went to London. Go on, admit it. You went to London.
All right, I went to London.
Whilst I was safely running around the countryside.
You know what? So did you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So did you. You went to London.
I did not go to London yesterday.
You brought back an evening paper.
Where did you get that?
It was in your overcoat pocket.
Anybody could have put it there.
Oh, did they? No, you were in London.
All right, fine. I was in London, but I didn't go there to meet some woman.
But did you? Are you sure you didn't?
Did you go to London to meet Christopher Wren?
Ridiculous.
Molly!
Don't come near me.
Molly, I don't know what's come over you. It's like I didn't even know you anymore. It's like a completely different person.
I can't tell you why I went to London. Perhaps I don't even remember now. And perhaps you never did know me. Perhaps you never knew anything about me, what I thought or suffered.
Molly, you're crazy.
What'd you just say?
You're crazy. That's what I said.
All
You're
right.
absolutely off your rocker.
I'm crazy. Perhaps it's fun to be crazy.
No, I do hope you young people are not saying a little more than you mean. One is so apt to these lovers' quarrels.
Lovers' quarrels, that's good.
Quite so, quite. I have been through all of this myself. When I was a young one, jeunesse, jeunesse, as the poet says. You have not been married long, I imagine.
It's none of your business, Poppy Cheney.
No business at all. I just came in to say that the sergeant cannot find her skis, and I'm afraid she is very low.
Yes, well, I didn't touch them.
Mr. Ralston! Mrs. Ralston! Have you taken my skis from the cupboard back where we put them?
I haven't touched your skis, Sergeant.
Somebody's taken them.
What made you happen to look for them, sergeant?
The snow is still lying. I need help here. Reinforcements. I was going to ski over to Market Hampton to report on the situation.
And now you can't. Dear. Somebody has made certain that you can't do that. But there could be so many reasons why.
Guess what?
Somebody may want to get away.
What did you say?
So a young architect has a look at it. Yes.
I'm so glad you haven't gone.
Mr. Wren, did you take my skis?
How would I take this, Sergeant?
Mrs. Ralston seemed to think.
I just thought you'd like to use them to get a little exercise.
Exercise.
Now listen, you people. This is a serious matter. Someone's taken my only means of communication with the outside world. I want everyone in here at once.
I think Miss Casewell has gone upstairs.
I'll get her.
I believe I left Mr. Major Metcalf in the dining room. Major Metcalf! He's not in there now.
I'll go look for him.
Hello, wanting me?
It's a question of my skis.
Skis.
Mr. Aston!
Did either of you take my skis from the cupboard door back there?
Good Lord, no. Why should I?
And I didn't touch them.
Nevertheless, they are gone. Which way did you say that you went to your room?
By the back stairs.
And you cut past the cupboard door then?
If you say so. I have no idea where your skis are.
You were actually in the room where the cupboard was this morning.
Yes.
At the time Mrs. Boyle was killed.
At the time Miss Boyle was killed, I had gone to the cellar.
Did you see them there then?
I couldn't tell you.
You must remember if they were there then.
I'm sorry.
You must remember if those skis were there, Mr. Major Metcalf.
Young woman, there is no good in yelling at me. I went down to the cellar to look for sports and junk. I was not interested in any skis. I went down to the stairs and into the cellar, so I couldn't tell you whether they were there or not.
You realize that you yourself had an excellent opportunity of taking them.
Yes, I did. If I wanted to, that is.
The question is, where are they now?
Shouldn't be that hard to find them. Whacking breed things skis are, not occasional punk and thimble.
Just a moment, Major Metcalf. That may be what we are meant to do.
I don't get you.
I'm in the position now where I've got to put myself in the place of a crazy, cunning brain. I've got to ask myself what he wants me to do, and what he's planning for us all to do next. I've got to stay just one step ahead of him, because if I don't, there's going to be another death.
Nonsense. You still don't believe that, do you?
Yes, Miss Casewell, I do. 3 blind mice, 2 mice canceled out, and a third to be dealt with. There are 6 of you listening to me. One of you is the killer. One of you is the killer. I don't know which one yet, but I shall. And another one of you is the killer's prospective victim. That's the person I'm speaking to. Mrs. Boyle held out on me with information. Mrs. Boyle is dead. You, whoever you are holding out on me with information. Well, don't, because you're in danger. Nobody who's killed twice is going to hesitate to kill a 3rd time. And as it is, I don't know which one of you who needs protection. Can't believe it. Come out with it. Which one of you has business with the Longridge Farm case? All right, you won't. I'll catch the killer. I've no doubt of that. But it may be too late for one of you. And I'll tell you another thing. The killer is enjoying this. Oh yes, he's enjoying himself a good deal. right you can go.
Dear lady, talking of chickens, have you ever tried the chicken's liver served on a toast that has been thickly smeared with foie gras, topped with a thin rasher of bacon, and just a touch of soupçon of mustard? Come, let us go to the kitchen. Let's do it cooked.
I'm helping my wife, Mr. Pavich.
Your husband is afraid for you. Quite so. He doesn't quite like the idea of your being alone with me. I tell you, it is my sadistic tendencies he fears, not my dishonorable ones. Alas, what an inconvenience the husband always is.
I'm sure Giles doesn't think that.
Quite so. He is very wise. Take no chances. Can I convince you, or him, or a dogged sergeant here, that I am not the murderer? I mean, and perhaps...
Don't.
But such a gay little tune. She cut off their tails with a carving knife. Sneak, sneak, sneak. Ah, so delicious. Just with the child at the door. Cool little thing.
Stop!
You stop frightening my wife at once.
It's silly of me, but you see, I found her. She was all purple. I was trying to forget.
It is difficult to forget, is it not? Do you want really to forget it?
I mustn't get out here. Prepare the vegetables and everything. Please, Giles.
What was it that you said to that kind young lady to upset her, sir?
Oh, me such? Oh, it was just a little innocent of fun. I've always been fond of a little joke.
There's fun that's nice, and then there's fun that's not so nice.
What do you mean by that, son?
I've been doing a little wondering about you, sir.
Indeed.
Yes, and about that car of yours, how it so conveniently upturned in that snowdrift.
Inconveniently, don't you mean a sergeant?
That's rather the way you're looking at it. By the way, just where were you bound for yesterday when you had this accident?
I was on my way to see a friend.
In this neighborhood?
Not so very far from here.
And what was this name of your friend and his address? Or
Now really, son, I don't see what that matters to you. It has no pertaining to this particular predicament.
the police like to have false information. And what did you say his friend's name was?
I didn't.
That's right, you didn't. It doesn't seem that you're going to say. Now that's very interesting.
But there could be so many reasons. And a more scratch. These jealous husbands.
Rather old to be running around with ladies in your time of life, aren't you, Mr. Parvicini?
Now, son, I am perhaps not quite so old as you think.
That's what I've been thinking, sir.
What do you mean?
That you're not as old as you try to look. There's a lot of young people nowadays, and old people who are trying to look younger than they are. Now, if someone's trying to look older, it does make one ask themselves why.
Having asked questions of so many people, now you begin to ask questions of yourself? Now, son, don't you think that's overdoing things a little?
I may get an answer for myself. I don't seem to get many from you.
Well, try again. But that is, if you have any more questions.
One or two. Just where were you coming from last night?
That is easy. London.
And what address in London?
I always stay at the Ritz Hotel.
Very nice to know, sir. What is your permanent address?
I dislike permanency.
And your business or profession?
I play the markets.
Stockbroker?
No, you misunderstand.
Enjoy this little game, aren't you, sir? Sure of yourself, too. But I wouldn't be too sure, because you're involved in a murder case. Murder isn't all fun and games, you know.
Not even this murder. Oh, dear Sergeant Trotter, you are quite serious, are you not? I always thought that the police have no sense of humor. Very good. Is this inquisition over? At least for the moment.
For the moment, yes.
Then I shall return to the drawing room. I'll look for your skis there. Maybe somebody hid them in the grand piano.
Just a minute, please.
Were you speaking to me?
Yes. Perhaps you'd like to come and sit down.
What do you want?
You may vouch for you.
Yes. My bank can assure you of my financial position, and I can refer you to a solicitor, a discreet man. But as for social reference, I am at a loss. I have lived most of my life abroad.
In Mallorca.
Majorca, other places.
Were you born abroad?
No. I left England when I was 13.
You know, Miss Casewell, I can't quite make you out.
Does it matter?
I don't know. What are you doing here?
Well, I've just got some business I need to finish.
You say that you were 13 when you went abroad.
12, 13, thereabouts.
Was your name Casewell then?
It's my name now.
What was your name then? Come on, tell me.
What are you trying to prove?
I want to know what your name was before you left England.
It's been a long time. I've forgotten.
There are things one doesn't forget.
Possibly.
Unhappiness, despair.
I dare say.
What's your real name?
I told you, Leslie Margaret Catherine Casewell.
Catherine. What the hell are you doing here?
Oh God, I wish to God I'd never come here.
I thought the police weren't allowed to get people with third degree.
I was merely interrogating Miss Casewell.
It looks as though you've upset her. What did she do?
It's nothing. It's just all this murder. It's horrible. It came over me suddenly. I'll go to my room.
It's impossible. I can't believe it.
What can't you believe, Sergeant? 6 impossible things before breakfast like the Red Queen?
Oh yes, something rather like that.
You look as though you've seen a ghost.
No, it's something I ought to have seen before. Blind as a bat I've been, but I think now we will be able to get somewhere.
Police have a clue.
Yes, Mr. Wren, the police have a clue. I want everyone assembled in here again. Do you know where they are?
Yes, as we both know, Mrs. Casewell just went up to her room. Major Metcalf is in his. Giles and Molly are in the kitchen, and I don't know where Papa Genie is alive.
I do. I'll go get him. You get the others.